Hopefully that means I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you are there, please do let me know. I need to make sure I've got my chat up so I know if anybody's there. Because if you are there, please do just let me know where you're joining me from. I think last week we had somebody from Australia and somebody from the USA, which I was delighted with. So hopefully we'll get some more this week. So first thing to say is that there won't be a live next week. So please don't expect one next week. I was going to try and move it, but actually it's just too difficult because I'm so busy with cricket for the next couple of weeks still. But after that, it will be back to normal, honestly. And keep an eye on my emails because they will let you know what's happening when, which is important. And hopefully today there went out an email to people because there is a 20% off sale of two-tone cardstock. Now the two-tone cardstock, actually if I go and get my catalogue, I can show you, can't I? Just bring this catalogue over and then I can show you about the two-tone cardstock because 20% off, a fifth off is quite something. So normally it is, I'll tell you how much it is. It's normally £9.50. That's an awkward thing to work out, isn't it? Well, it's going to be somewhere around £7 something or other, isn't it? So £7 something, I think it'll turn out as. Let me just put my... Oh, there we go. Now you can see. So this is the two-tone cardstock page. It's page 77 in the catalogue. And you can see the full range of colours there. There are 53 different colours. 53, ridiculous, isn't it? And in the packs, the card, the two-tone card, I do have some somewhere I could show you. But anyway, the two-tone card has got a sort of darker side and a lighter side. So it's the two-tone within the same piece of cardstock, but the center of that piece of cardstock is white, which means that you can use it for so many different... Oh, I know. Let me go and get the bits I have got over here. I'm not sure. I think those might be ordinary cardstock, actually. Let me just see if I've got some of the two-tone. Oh, goodness knows. Where is it? I did have some. I don't know where I put it. Oh dear, can't find it. But anyway, I haven't got very much of it, if I have got some. But you can get them in all sorts of colours. As I say, all 53 different colours, which is just crazy. If you obviously these are just packs of single colours in the stamp in the catalogue here, but you can get mixes of colours, and those mixes are in the scrapbooking from scratch section of the catalogue, which is pages 64 to 77. And if you look on those scrapbooking from scratch pages, these are the sets that you can buy particularly for scrapbooking, and it has the mixed packs of the 12 by 12 cardstock. So you can get this one, for example, that's got those 6 colours in it. Then there is this one with those 6 colours, this one with 6 more colours, this one with more neutral colours. So have a look at those too. That is page, what did I say? I think it starts there. So it's 66 to 73. And then you do have your albums and memory keepers for those who want to make scrapbooking pages and things. That they're all on pages 74, 75. And then you've got the full range of colours with the individual packs, and those are on page 77. So hello, Geraldine, nice to see you. So just saying about, you should have had an email today. There is a 3-day sale tomorrow, Thursday and Friday about the two-tone cardstock. I've had to send an extra email out because obviously by the time my normal weekly one comes out, too late on Saturday to tell you about it because it'll be over. But they are 20% off. And I was just saying that you can get also, if you look at pages 66 to 75, then you will see that there are packs of this cardstock. So if you didn't want to buy individual colours, which obviously is one pack of that same colour, does that make sense? So it'll be 12 sheets of each of those colours in each pack. So there'd be, so if you bought Blueberry Bushel, for example, there'd be 12 sheets of Blueberry Bushel two-tone. But if you wanted to try it out with just a small, then you can get a pack of 12, which is a mixed pack, 2 sheets of each colour. And the mixes are on these pages. So page 67, you've got those 6 colours. Page 69, those colours. Page 71, those colours, and I think the final mixed pack is more neutral colours on page 73. So there are those 4 mixed packs if you prefer to try them out and do that, which I might do actually, because I haven't got too time. I don't want to go and buy all the packs of this because that would cost a lot, even with 20% off. And I probably wouldn't use all of them. They are, in my opinion, they are too flimsy to use for a card base, but they are brilliant for layering. I'll just bring out the pictures again so they're in front of me while I'm talking. They're brilliant for layering. Let me put one of the other ones up so you can see it on this page here. You've got the lighter colour on one side, the darker on the other. So they're great for layering because you can use both of the sides separately for layering. If you tear it, it has a white heart to it, so that you can tear it and have torn bits with a white edge. You can emboss it and then sand it, and that brings the white through. When you sand where it's embossed, the embossing will come through as white because the core of the card is white. It's great for that. It's great for what have I said? Tearing, layering, sanding, embossing. That's pretty good. And obviously it's brilliant for scrapbooking because it's thinner than on usual card, so it doesn't add quite so much depth when you don't want anything too heavy on your page or on your cardstock, which is why it's great for layering. So there's the picture there that shows the white core. If you tear it, it has a center white core. There we go. Anyway, those are the sets. They're all 12 by 12 because they're aimed at scrapbooking, I think, more than card making. So don't lose out. If you do want to get some, it is 20% off tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. And I am doing an order on Friday. So if anybody does want anything, just let me know then. Anyway, let's get on with today's project because it's boring talking about everything else. Today's project, it's Blog Hop Day because it's the first Tuesday of the month. And well, no, second Tuesday of the month, yeah. So it's my blog hop day of the group of Tech for Stampers that I do the blog hop with. And this month's topic is sketch. And the organizer of Tech for Stamping, the gorgeous Louise, has given us a sketch to work with. Now, there are plenty of sketches, and actually I'm glad I fetched the catalogue because I can show you those too. Near the front of the catalogue, see if I can find them. So this is page 28. You've got scrapbook layout templates. And a couple of pages earlier, page 24, you've got card and tag templates. So these give you ideas for layouts. The idea of a sketch is it helps you decide on a layout for a card. And you don't have to follow it exactly. I'll show you what I mean as I go through this one. But they're great ideas. And if you search online, there are a number of sites which will give you free sketches if you want to look at them. I'm trying to remember the one I've got a whole set from, and I can't remember the name, which is daft. I'll try and remember to put it in the blog. Anyway, this is the sketch we're using today. So you've got the sketch. Oh, hi, Glenda. Thank you for joining me. Nice to see you. So this sketch, and it's a little bit pale on my printer. I don't know why it's come out so pale, but it's got a card front and then it's got another layer. I don't know if you can see the second layer in. It's got like a white layer and then a dark layer again. So it's got 3 layers on the front. Then it's got a strip here, something here, which could be ribbon, could be whatever. And then it's got a big sort of focal point, if you like, of the sketch there. Now, so I looked at that and I thought, well, the first thing is I haven't got anything that looks like that. I think there were some old retired dies that would produce that shape, but nothing in the current products. So I thought, well, I'll just adapt it. And that is the point of a sketch. You can look at a sketch and then adapt it to what you want. So I'm going to use a circle here. I have otherwise done it very similar to this, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use the glorious, of course, I'm loving this set, Inspiring Imperfections. As those of you who follow my blog will know, I've made a lot of cards with this, and I just love it. So Inspiring Imperfections, lovely stamp set, comes with the dies that cut it out as well, including these lovely cracks. And if you team it up with a pack of gold foil, also available from Stampin' Up, you can get some wonderful results. So I'm going to the suite, the whole suite. This is the bundle, Inspiring Imperfections bundle. But if you buy the suite, then you get the bundle. You get this lovely embossing folder, which I had thought about using for the inner layer of my card, but I've decided not to, because I thought I could emboss the inner layer, which obviously you can do if you wanted to choose. But I'm not using that today, but that's part of the suite. You get these lovely flower accents, which I might well use today, and you get a whole pack of this wonderful designer series paper, which I have shown you plenty of times before, but it is glorious. And these vases and jars and flowers, these all cut out with a die. And I love the fact that Stampin' Up have actually taken the colour outside the gold line, so that when you die cut it, you don't get a white edge, which I really, really like. And then there's all of these glorious sheets of DSP. Let me show you some of them. Try and get them out. So that's one. It's got a background. So if you didn't want to die cut all these things, you can use the background, which is fine. I've got these lovely Misty Moonlight and gold flowers with a pinky flowery background. This one, which I'm using today, with the gold flecks all the way through it, the gold stripes all the way through it. Again, with some flowery pink, petal pink background. Then we've got same in white, the similar one than the blue, but it's in white, and this time with a swirly blue background. And there is, oh, that's one I've shown you. And this one, the one with the sort of gold leaves on Very Vanilla, and that has a lovely pattern in the background, which I am going to use. So lovely, lovely DSP. I can't resist it. I've used a lot of that pack already, and there's still loads left, of course, because our packs are so good. So what else am I going to use? Let me just move those to one side. So I've got space. I'm going to use a Misty Moonlight stamping pad. I've got Misty Moonlight cardstock. I am going to use two of our punches, which are available online. I'm going to use the biggest one, which is 2 3/8, and the 2-inch one. But I'm also, and to give you another option, this isn't in the blog, but I decided I would use the Spotlight on Nature dies, because they're bigger. And if you want a big focal point, you could use these wonderful dies. The ones I usually use for die cutting, the stylish shapes, don't go as big as these. So this is a fabulous set to get. There are two sets of, there we go, two sets of these dies with all these different patterns on them. So you could use one pattern with different sizes, or you can mix the patterns, totally up to you. But they are really great dies, and I would recommend everybody gets those, because they're brilliant for circles. And I shall show you one in a minute. So I have done a lot of preparation for this card, because otherwise I'd be here all day doing mad things, cutting out. Oh, I'll need something for my envelope, so let me decide. I'll use my bowl. So I've already got some of the stamps out I'm going to use, but I will use the bowl, to decorate the envelope and possibly inside as well. Right, so let us get going. Clear some space. Oh, and I've got just some of this ribbon now. I couldn't find if it's still available. This is a gold ribbon, but there is a similar gold ribbon definitely available, and I've put the link to that in the blog. Okay, so what have I used for this card, or what will I be using, because I haven't made it yet? So I've used a Misty Moonlight base, and I will give you the inch measurements as well as the centimeters, but I work mainly in centimeters. So this base is 21 by 14.8, so it's half a sheet of A4 scored in the middle at 10.5. If you're working with US cardstock, then that is 8.5 by 5.5, so half of one of your sheets, scored at 4 1/4. So I've got various layers here, because obviously my sketch has various layers. So for my front, let's get that. I'm not sure I'll use that or not, but I have die cut a bit of this strip, and I've actually got stickiness on the back of it, so I can use it directly. Little key, if you're going to cut out fiddly little things like this, always use backing paper, so that when it comes out, it's dead easy to peel off and stick on, because trying to get your glue on little tiny bits like that is really difficult. So anyway, for my layers, I have used some gold foil, and I've used one of these gorgeous designer series paper. So this gives me these 3 layers in my sketch. You'll see the sketch better on the blog. I don't know why it hasn't printed out so dark. It might be something wrong. It might be something wrong with my printer. I haven't decided. Anyway, these bits here, this first layer here is 9 by 13.3, and I can't quite remember the inches, but they are going to be in the blog that's published later on today. This piece is 8.5 centimetres by 12.8 centimetres, and I definitely have put the inches in the blog, and I've forgotten what they are. Unless I can just have can I have a quick look while I'm actually, I think I probably can. Yeah, okay. So, yes, the gold foil layer in inches is 3.5 inches by 5.25 inches, and the DSP is 3.25 inches by 5 inches. Okay, so you'll notice in here that we've got a strip of something coming down, and I decided to use the reverse actually of this paper, the gold. I normally always use the goldy side, but I liked this pattern. It's rather beautiful, don't you think? So I'm using a strip of that. And this piece here, this is 5 centimetres by 14.8. It would be in inches, 2 inches by 5.5. And that's going to come down the card like that. And then I have already die cut. Oh, let me show you this, because this is what I mean. If I put it on there, you'll see it better. This is what I mean by the die cut. Because if you actually look at this, let me come back so I can see what you're seeing. Yes, have I tilted a bit? Can you see I've die cut out that bowl from that sheet of DSP I showed you, but there's no white edge. It's got blue around the edge because that colour has been taken further, which I really appreciate. Thank you, Stamping Up. So I've got a couple of strips of things here. I've got a little strip of Very Vanilla, which is 1 centimetre by 10.5 centimetres. In inches, that would be, what is my piece there? Strip. In inches, it's 1/2 inch by 5.25 inches. Then I also have a piece of Very Vanilla for inside, because Misty Moonlight's too dark to write on directly, so I need a layer for inside. And this piece is 9.5 by 13.8 centimetres, or 3.25 by 5 inches. I've got an extra little strip of DSP that I'm going to use to decorate the inside. That is, obviously you can do whatever you want with that. And for this big shape here from the sketch, I'm actually going to use circles. So I've cut this one from the, now this isn't in the blog. I added this because I thought about it last night and decided I wanted an additional circle. So this is the one with the Spotlight on Nature dies with the sort of corrugated edge. Looks like a paper plate to me, but yeah, so that one. So I've cut a large one of those, or larger than my punches. Then I punched out a gold foil 2 3/8 inch size, and I also punched out a 2-inch Very Vanilla. So that is basically what my card is going to look like. And then I'm going to stamp centimetres. I'm going to stamp centimetres and wrap ribbon around and all sorts as we actually go ahead to make it. So I'm going to do my stamping. There we go. And I need a scrap of Very Vanilla as well for my stamping. And I'm actually going to stamp in Misty Moonlight. Everything is going to be very Misty Moonlight because I just think it's a glorious colour. And I'm going to stamp these flowers. This is the small flower sprig. There we go, which is from the stamp set, obviously. And I'm going to stamp it a couple of times on this piece of Very Vanilla. And then before I move it very quickly, I'm going to get my blender pen, and I'm just going to bring that colour so that it just colours in where I've stamped. So I do this one first and show you what it looks like. Can you see the difference there between the two? I'm just bringing the colour in to fill in where the stamps are there, so where I stamped. So I'm just doing that. And if you wanted to add more colour, and if it dries too much, you can't move it around too much. As soon as it's dried on the cardstock, it's more difficult to move around with the blender pen. But I do like this blender pen. It's so useful to then just use to colour in. And if you did want more colour, you can actually pick some up from the lid of your stamp pad. Don't pick it up from directly on the stamp pad. I'm not sure what it is that's in here. It's acid free, but I don't know what's actually in it. Don't know. It doesn't actually say on it. It probably says on the packaging. But anyway, I don't want to put any chemicals on my stamp pad, so I would squeeze the stamp pad and make sure I got a little bit of colour onto my, let me do it to show you. Hang on, put that down, can't do things with holding things in my hand as well. So if you squeeze it, and these are much harder than the old style stamp pads, but if you squeeze away, you will get some on the lid. Didn't even get some on the lid. Okay, second way to do it, because it's just as easy, is to get yourself a block and you just pick up some ink on the block. So just stamp your block onto the stamp pad, onto the ink pad, and then you can pick up the ink from the block. So if I wanted to make one of my flowers or put a darker centre in my flowers, for example, I've picked up that ink there and I've put darker centre in. Yeah. So that's a nice way to do it as well. I'll wipe that off in a minute. So cleaning the blender pen is actually really easy if you just have a little bit of kitchen towel or something like that, and you just draw on it until the ink comes off, like this. And it's colouring clear. And can you see that the ink's come off, so it's now clear again? Yep. So that's how to use a blender pen and how to keep it nice and clear. And there's two ends to it, so you can do two things at once and then clean it at the end, whatever. Nice thing, blender pen. Right. So yeah, pick it up on a block. It's a lot easier than trying to squeeze these new style pads. Really, they're difficult. Okay. So I'm going to use this little die from the set, which I haven't used yet. There we go. It's coming off now. I've used all the others, so they're falling off, but this one I haven't. So this one cuts out these flowers here. So I am, let me clear a bit of space on my desk. And then without knocking my coffee over, I can bring in my stamp and emboss machine, my mini. And we're just going to cut those out. So that's why I've done all the rest of the preparation, because otherwise I'd be here for an hour or so just cutting things, and that's why I do them. Make it easier. So I'll just pop that on here. My little tip for these is always make these sort of not straight, because it goes through the machine a lot easier if you don't. If you try and put them through straight, it seems to not like it, and I don't really know why, but that's how it is. So let's cut my first one without knocking everything else off the desk. So we'll just cut the second one out. So there's my first one, just because I want two for inside my vase. I may not use two, but I'll cut them out anyway, and then I've got them if I need them. There we go. And I can put that die back in my set. Move these off the way. Again, try not to knock my coffee over. I'll get up to do that. That's a lot easier. Lift it over, then I don't risk the coffee quite so much. Okay, so while I've got my stamping pad out, I'm going to stamp my other bits on. So this bowl is going to have its flowers coming out like this. So probably like that, something like that. So when I'm stamping my sentiment, I want to make sure it's right at one side of that. And I'm using the sentiment, "I'm here for you." So I'm going to stamp that first, because then I can put everything on and make sure I'm not covering it. So there we go, "I'm here for you." So it's going to look something like that when I put it together. And then I am going to stamp my inside piece as well. So perhaps I better stick this on first. This is just a spare strip of the DSP that I wasn't using for anything else. And rather than throw it away, I thought I'll use it to decorate the inside. Why not? It's probably a bit longer than the card, this piece, but I can trim it. So stick that on like that. And yes, I will need to trim it. Just buried my scissors, of course I have. we go. So then I am going to stamp another of the sentiments from the set, and this one, there's lovely sentiments. Let me show you all the sentiments. So I'm using this one here. I know you'll get through this and be stronger for it, and I'm here for you on the front. But the others are beautiful. Thanks for helping me through this difficult time. You inspire me. There is beauty in your history. And I did wonder about using You Inspire Me inside, but I decided, no, I haven't used this one yet. So let's use this one. And they're quite small, so you sort of worry that they're not going to stamp well. But of course, they are Stampin' Up! Stamps. So they are perfect, as you can see from that. Now I'm just going to get my cleaning pad out because I don't want to leave the stamps covered in the ink, because it doesn't do them any good. It doesn't harm them in any way, but it tends to stain them if you don't clean them quite quickly. I'd rather have clean stamps. Open this one. There we go. And the final thing I'm going to put in here, I'm actually going to use the bowl here. So I'm just going to ink that up, and we're just going to have that as just a picture at the bottom to match the front then. And I'm also going to use the bowl on the envelope to give it a little bit of a theme all the way through. So there we are. Now I could again use my blender to colour that bowl a little bit. I'm probably going to leave it, I think. Shall I colour one? What do you think? Shall I colour it or not? I'll have a sip of coffee while you decide whether you think I should colour it or not. Nothing through yet. Nobody knows if I should colour it. Okay. Shall I try a bit and see what it looks like? If you say no and I've started, I've started colouring now. So I'm just again going to use my blender pen just to bring in some colour on some of the elements of it, not on the whole thing. Actually, I am quite pleased with that. Yeah, I'm quite glad I've done that. I'll do some around the bottom as well, just as shading. Can use it as shading down the side too. Oh, I'm getting carried away now. Right. So that's done that one. I'll do this one as well, just to show you. It does work on an envelope too. It doesn't need to be just on cardstock. Don't use it too much. It will eventually, because it's not a water-based thing, it can pull up the pill of the cardstock. So just be a little bit careful with this when you are using it, because it will pill a little bit. But just clean it on here before I put it away. It's a good practice to get into the habit of always cleaning your blender pen before you put it away, because if it dries, it's more difficult to clean. So that's, there you go. I have done a little bit of blending just to bring a little bit of colour into that on the envelope and on my inside piece. So I'm going to put this together and I'll show you how I'm doing the ribbon. Let me put this back piece in before I forget. So this is the inside piece that we've now completed. I always stamp it first. You could stick it in and stamp it, but I'd rather retain my emergency side in case I need it. So we'll have that in here. That's my inside. So then for the outside, I am sticking my DSP on top of my gold foil sheet. If you didn't want to use the whole gold foil sheet, you could actually cut out some things from the centre. You could always use this part of the gold foil sheet if you want to be a little bit more, what's the word I want? A bit more, not wasteful, it's the opposite of wasteful, yeah. If you want to try and save some gold foil, you can cut out things from the middle before you use it. As long as there's enough for the edge, then why waste the middle? But I'm going to be profligate, that's another word to use, and use the whole sheet and put it on my card. Well, not the whole gold foil sheet, you know, but my whole piece. So that gives me my 3 layers, which were part of the sketch. But you know what? If I'm using that sketch again, perhaps you want to put more layers. Perhaps you only want to put 2 layers. This is the point about sketches. You can adapt them in any way you wish, so that it looks how you want it to look. You don't have to use circles. I could use a square or a diamond or a different shape completely. You could use this strip down the center could be an embossed strip. It could be a wide piece of ribbon. There's so many options that you can use when you've got a sketch outline. Fiddle around with it and play around with it until you've got exactly what you want from it. There we go. So I'm having that down there. It's covering up some of my gold, but you can still see some of the gold. Then my sketch had some ribbon across there. Now, putting ribbon across a card front is difficult because it means you've either got an end of a ribbon stuck behind the card front, which, I don't particularly like. So what I've done is I've cut myself a piece of my Very Vanilla, and I'm going to put the ribbon around that piece. So I'm going to get my ribbon scissors. Remember, you should, if I can find them, where are they? You should always have special ribbon scissors that you keep nice and sharp just for ribbon. So I'm going to cut a piece of ribbon which is a bit longer than my strip, like that. And then I'm going to put another shorter bit. Well, actually, I'm not going to cut it just yet because I'll show you in a minute what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stick this to the strip. And I don't want anything showing through the ribbon at the front. So I'm going to use my tear and tape and just put 2 small bits on the back, which will hold the ends down, and that will be sufficient to hold the ribbon down. So a couple of little pieces of tear and tape like that. And then with my pokey tool, I can take one bit off the front here. There we go. And it's very quiet in the chat today. Has nobody got anything to tell me? Geraldine, I hope you're feeling a lot better now and that those antibiotics have worked. Right, so there we go. So you can see I've just stuck the ribbon around the back of the strip like that. See the ends of the ribbon? Because nobody's going to see that. But it gives me a ribbon across my card front without me having to think, what am I going to do with the ends? I don't want the ends stuck around the back of the card or around the back of the front piece. So I'm just using a piece like that. And then I shall use my tear and tape. I've got quite a thick strip here, which might be good to stick this on. And I shall put that across the back of the card piece. And then I can stick it across my card front. I'll have it about there, I think. So there is how I've stuck my ribbon across the card front. So you can't see any edges. It's nice and neat at the edges. And then I can tie myself a little bow. Try and do this on camera, of course. It will always fail, but hopefully it will be all right. Do my 2 little rabbit ears and then pull it through. Didn't come through straight, but we can adjust it a bit. So I only want a little small bow. Don't want anything taking too much out of my card design here. Don't want it, it's not the focal point, so I don't want a huge bow. So there is my bow, and then I can cut off the edges, trim it down. So there's my little bow, and then I'm just going to stick it on the front here with some glue dots. These are left over from one of the kits. There's always so many glue dots in a kit. You always get plenty to use afterwards, which I really love. So I'm going to put about 3 on because I've got plenty here. So I'm just putting these because I want to center my bow so it's centered in this panel. So if I had it slightly to one side, it would look a bit odd. So I want it to sit very centrally in that panel. So hopefully those are stuck down, and I can just take the tops off. I'm going to get bits of these stuck to me, of course. Fiddle, fiddle, there we go. And then I can stick my bow right in the center of that strip there, and in the center of my ribbon the other way, long ways. And there is my little bow. I think we need to pull that end down a little bit more. There we go. So there is my basic card front now. So yes, thank you. The antibiotics worked. Good. Now you need to, I know. Trouble is when you've been poorly for a while, it takes ages to get over it. Even once you're better, doesn't it? Oh. Anyway, so now I'm going to do my main sort of piece. I'm just thinking that blue it looks really dark. It's not that dark a blue, Misty Moonlight, but so I'm going to have that piece, then this piece on top. I'm going to stick those on flat, I think, and then I may well do some dimensionals on the top piece. But there is a fair bit of thickness already in this card because I've got 4 layers on there, 2 of DSP and 2 of cardstock, because gold foil is really quite thick, so it's more like cardstock than anything else. So I need to be a little bit careful not to put too much thickness on my card if I'm going to post it normal post. It's dreadful, the price of postage, so I'm trying to make my cards a little bit smaller now, or thinner, so that they will go through normal post. But I swear they've made those slits smaller than they used to be. So I'm going to stick this on flat to my card front. Like that. Let's have that down for a second. And then I think I'll stick this one on flat and put the bowl up on dimensionals. So I'm going to go flat again. You could put dimensionals on one of these layers if you wanted, but I'm going to go flat again. Make sure my here for you is straight. There. And then I shall use dimensionals for this piece. Look at this, end of a dimensional pack again. They always are. But I do have some little mini dimensional bits, which I think would be good. Put another one on there for the back of these little bits. So I use every little bit of a dimensional sheet, you know. Always cut the edges up and just put little vertical cuts across the edges to give me lots of little tiny pieces. Oh, there's 2 there. They're a bit fiddly, but it means I can use the whole sheet because I don't want to waste it. I'll have one more on here. Could use my tweezers. Oh, never mind, that's stuck there. Will do. So, put my bowl on first. I'm just going to have the bowl just down towards the bottom here because I want room to stick my fronds, my flower fronds on. Shall I have it as if it's coming over the edge of the bowl? I think I might with that one, and perhaps stick the other one behind. I don't know. See what it looks like if I just lay it on top. That will do actually, like that. That's quite nice because it sort of surrounds the sentiment. Yeah. So there we go. There is my sketch card for the blog hop today, with lots of layers on. Here is the sketch again to show you, so you can see how it works. But you can see I haven't done it exactly as the sketch, but I've taken it pretty close to the sketch. Sometimes you can have them in all sorts of ways. You could use, as I said, different shapes here. You don't have to use a circle. You could use a more fluted shape. You could use a square or an oval or an arch or whatever you wanted to put in there. But I liked those little elements, and I hope that you think the card is nice. So thank you for joining me today. Let me just put myself back up in chat. For those that weren't here just at the beginning, just to remind you, there is tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, a 20% off the two-tone cardstock, both the packs of it that are in the scrapbook section in the annual catalogue and the others. Now, I didn't use that. Do I want to use that? I think that might be too much, don't you? Or shall I put it on the inside one? Do you know what? I might put it on that one. There, if I press it down in the middle now, I can just get my snips and just snip the edges off that. Gives a little bit more to it, doesn't it? I can't snip the edges off that. Let me just lift it again. There, that's quite nice. Yeah, quite like that. Just adding a bit to the inside. Like the combination of the gold and dark navy. Yeah, absolutely. I just fell in love with this set of papers, and I just love Misty Moonlight as a colour. So that with the gold just lifts it enough. Misty Moonlight on its own is quite dark. Goes very well, actually, Misty Moonlight, with Petal Pink, which is one of the other colours in the... How do I hold this so you can see it? There we go. One of the colours in the DSP. So I did think about using a layer of Petal Pink, or I think it's Petal... No. Let me just check. Which pink is it? Oh, this. It is Petal Pink, yeah. So I did think about using a layer of Petal Pink and then some Petal Pink ribbon to do the same card, but I decided to stick to the gold because I really love gold. So, oh, thank you, Glenda. Great card, beautiful suite. It is a beautiful suite. I recommend everybody gets this. I hope a lot of people made use of the 50% off suite in May. That was a useful thing to do. Obviously, didn't help you much if you only wanted one suite, but hey. Always a good excuse to buy more than one, I suppose. So there we go. There is lots of other news this week from Stamping Up, which I think I'm allowed to tell you. I don't think it's a secret, but there will be no celebration from now on. They are stopping celebration, which always used to run January, February, March sometimes, or January, February. It's changed a bit over the years, but actually it's going to become a new thing from December, where they're going to have a product of the month. And then if you make an order, I think it's of £70 or more, you can buy the product of the month for just £5, which sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to getting more information on that, because I'm not sure how it'll work. But anyway, we shall see. But that's just to let you know, no celebration in future, which is sad because I liked celebration. But anyway, there we go. There is my card today. All of the details and the measurements are in the blog, and that will be published at 6 o'clock along with the blogs from the other people from the blog hop. Please do go and have a look at all their cards because it's just wonderful. As I said at the start, I won't see you next week. There is no Craftalong live next week, but I will be still publishing in my blog. Sign up to my emails on the website, craftycarolscards.co.uk, and then you'll get all of the information about what I'm doing. And I will see you again, hopefully in a couple of weeks' time. And then from August, everything is back to normal. So I will see you on Tuesdays then. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you for the comments.